Dealers are dumping EVs, and what they're doing instead will shock you. They're going against the big manufacturers and even the government. And I'm not talking about one or two of them. Over 3,000 dealers have joined this revolution. This is huge. It will affect all of us, but how exactly and why they're doing this? Is it because of hate for EVs or fear of adapting like everyone says it is? No, there is a lot more to it than just that. These dealerships are huge corporations. Every decision they make is planned, and this time they're going to shake up the whole industry. So let's break it down. What is happening right now? You've probably heard all the hype about EVs taking over the roads, but let me tell you, the latest reports are painting a totally different picture. You know, the car industry has really been struggling to make these futuristic rides take off. Ford, GM, and even the mighty Tesla, they're all bleeding billions trying to sell these electric marvels. That is why the good old-fashioned gas guzzlers are making a serious comeback. Yep, you heard that right. The very thing the EV zealots were trying to put out to pasture is now looking like the safer, more reliable option. It's like the world has turned upside down. What's behind the sudden EV exodus? Well, it's a whole bunch of issues. From range anxiety and buggy software to those pesky battery fires, it seems like the EV dream is hitting a few speed bumps. And now it's official, the electric vehicle market is in freefall. A new report has just hit the streets, and it's a game changer, exposing a sharp decline in EV sales and massive financial losses for car manufacturers. Now, I know it seems rather confusing if you have been following the news, but this report reveals 3 major flaws that have caused Tesla's stock to nosedive by a jaw-dropping $80 billion in just 1 week. The ultimate downfall. Remember what was happening in 2023 when EV sales were finally picking up steam? Automakers were launching new electric models, and the future seemed bright. But then, discontent from longtime EV owners surfaced, exposing some serious issues with EV ownership. It got even worse when Consumer Reports dropped evidence of safety concerns, including problems with Tesla. Now, economists are throwing out predictions that the EV market might be the next big bust. Even with the $7,500 tax credit from the government, people are catching on and pushing back against the EV hype. And this makes sense. California, the state that's been championing the EV revolution with its promise to ban gas cars by 2035, saw a 10% drop in Tesla's sales in the last quarter of 2023. Tesla, the poster child of EVs, has always thrived in California, making this decline a monumental blow. Ford and General Motors, 2 powerhouses of the auto industry, are feeling the financial pinch. Ford's EV division is bleeding cash with over $1 billion lost in a single quarter, and plans to cut back on EV investments. GM isn't faring much better, with EVs taking a significant toll on their profits, but don't just take my word for it, look at the data. The numbers don't lie. Let's start with the heavy hitters, Ford and GM, those automotive giants we all know and love, who have collectively lost a staggering $5 billion on their EV ventures in just 1 year. And get this, they were selling each EV at a whopping $36,000 loss. That's like throwing $1 million into a bonfire and watching it all go up in smoke. Talk about a recipe for a financial disaster. But it gets even crazier. Tesla, the poster child of the EV revolution, had to slash their prices 7 times in a single year just to stay afloat. Because there is no other option, they have to keep those consumers happy. And we all know how wild the start of 2023 was for Tesla and the EV market. Sales were soaring through the roof like a rocket taking off to the moon. But then the whole thing came crashing down. And why, you ask? Well, it turns out that with those pesky rising bank interest rates, owning an EV became about as affordable as a private jet. People want the electric dream, but not if it means sacrificing their firstborn child to pay for it. And let's not forget the elephant in the room, the Biden administration's heavy reliance on China for 80% of our EV supplies. It is like putting all your eggs in one basket. No wonder the production costs are skyrocketing and creating a whole new level of risk. But the drama doesn't stop there, my friends. As a result of this epic EV downturn, the big players are rethinking their strategies. Tesla has scrapped plans for a new factory in Mexico. GM has delayed their new EV pickups, and Ford has even halted production of the beloved F-150 Lightning. And let's not forget the auto dealers. Over 3,000 of them are pushing back, begging the Biden administration to take it easy on the whole EV push. They're even refusing to showcase these electric wonders in their showrooms due to poor demand. It's like trying to turn a steak lover into a vegan. Good luck with that. It's a game of tug of war, with the dealers on one side and the government on the other, leaving the EV industry caught in the middle. But this isn't just a US issue. Nope. EV sales are also declining in Germany, despite the European Union's big plans to ban gas-powered cars by 2035. But you know that low demand is just a consequence of other deep-rooted issues. There is a reason why people are switching back to hybrids and good old-fashioned gas guzzlers, and even why Toyota's top executive is placing bets on hybrids and hydrogen cars. So, let's break it down. What is the reason? This is not a simple thing to answer, it's a tangled web of drama, headaches, and more plot twists than a Hollywood blockbuster. First up, let's talk about the elephant in the room, that dreaded range anxiety. You know the deal, right? You finally snag your dream EV, all pumped up to save the planet and be the coolest kid on the block. But then, your new ride starts throwing a full-blown temper tantrum when it's time to charge up, and sometimes they will even refuse to juice up in the dead of winter and drain their batteries fast. And good luck finding a charging station that actually works when you need it. These electric beasts are giving their owners a serious migraine when it comes to that all-important battery. It is not just about range anxiety. From overheating issues to straight-up explosions, the battery drama is enough to make you want to stick with good old-fashioned gas guzzlers. And let's not forget the eye-watering repair costs. We're talking thousands of dollars just to keep these cars running. Heck, the insurance premiums are enough to make your wallet cry out in agony. And the problems don't stop there, my friends. EVs are also struggling with some serious software glitches. From buggy infotainment systems to electric motors that just can't seem to get their act together. And you know what they say? When it rains, it pours. Well, in the case of the EV market, it's like a full-blown monsoon. From software glitches to battery nightmares, these electric machines are giving their owners a run for their money. But if you thought this was all, then you are in for a treat, my friend. Now watch carefully. The unseen issues. Let's talk about one of the most head-scratching aspects of electric vehicles, their lightning-fast depreciation rates. I'm talking about these electric wonders losing value fast. Take the Tesla Model X, for example. Want to know how much it can shed in its first year? Around $21,000. That's like throwing a band of cash out the window as you're driving off the lot. And over the course of 5 years, brace yourself, we're looking at a whopping 49.9% depreciation. And it gets even crazier. When you compare the overall depreciation of EVs to traditional gas-guzzling cars, the difference is staggering. On average, EVs lose about 49.1% of their value over 5 years, while the industry average is a relatively tame 38.8%. So what's behind this rapid depreciation, you ask? Well, my friends, it's a perfect storm of factors. First, there is the ever-evolving technology of those lithium-ion batteries. They're improving so fast that your EV can feel outdated in the blink of an eye. Then there is the impact of government incentives, which can really skew the perceived value of these vehicles. And let's not forget the good old-fashioned consumer perceptions. People don't trust EVs, and there is a good reason. Repairment issues. This is a wild issue that's leaving EV owners and insurance companies alike scratching their heads. It's the case of the dreaded total loss tag, where a simple little scratch can suddenly become the kiss of death for your prized electric ride. Now, you might be wondering, a total loss for a tiny bump? What's the deal here? Well, my friends, it all comes down to one simple fact: repairing these electric marvels. You see, these EVs, especially the ones from Tesla, are loaded to the brim with some seriously advanced tech and fancy materials. We're talking about their cutting-edge autopilot systems, revolutionary battery packs, and those unique body structures that make them look like they're straight out of a science fiction movie. And all of that high-tech wizardry comes at a price when it comes to repairs. These EVs require a whole new level of specialized knowledge and tools that most body shops just don't have. Finding replacement parts? Good luck with that. It's like trying to locate a needle in a haystack and what parts are available. Well, let's just say they don't exactly come cheap. And if you thought Tesla was known for its speedy deliveries, wait until you see how long it takes to get your hands on those elusive EV parts. We're talking agonizing wait times as the parts have to be ordered directly from the manufacturer. And let's talk about the major sources of concern. The battery pack, the heart and soul of any electric ride. Now, when that battery takes a beating, it's not like we can just slap on a nope. More often than not, you're looking at a complete replacement. And I don't have to tell you how much that's going to set you back. We're talking about repair bills that can sometimes reach the price of a brand new vehicle. But that's not the only headache when it comes to fixing up these electric marvels. repairing an EV requires a whole new level of specialized training and expertise. We're not talking about your average Joe with a toolbox and a dream. These repairs call for some serious mechanical sorcery. And you know what that means? Premium labor costs, my friends. Now, you might be wondering, why do the insurance companies care so much about these repair bills? Well, let me tell you, it's all about managing risk and keeping those costs down. When those repair estimates start creeping up towards the $50,000 mark or beyond, the insurers start getting a little trigger happy with the total loss stamp. And you know what that means? Goodbye, beloved EV, and hello to the insurance payout. But hey, it's not like the insurance companies are just being heartless. They've got their own set of problems to deal with, like the ongoing rental car costs they have to cover while your ride is in the shop. And let me tell you, those rental bills can add up faster than you would expect. Now, this might have been a little complicated because you usually don't think about these things when you're looking at EVs in the showroom, but it gets even deeper than that. So let me dissect it for you in simple terms. The paradox. The most shocking revelation is the environmental impact of electric vehicles. Now, I know what you're thinking, aren't these cars the golden ticket to a greener future? Well, it's a bit more complicated than that, but don't worry, I've got your back. See, the environmental benefits of EVs are heavily dependent on where that precious electricity is coming from. If we're talking about fossil fuels like coal and natural gas, then we've got a problem. Those emissions from non-renewable sources can completely negate the lower emissions from the vehicles themselves. It's like trying to put out a fire with a blowtorch, not exactly the brightest idea. And let's not forget about the impact on our health and the planet as a whole. Those non-renewable energy sources don't just contribute to climate change, they're also spewing out all kinds of nasty pollutants that can wreak havoc on our air quality. So what's the solution, you ask? Well, my friends, it's all about transitioning to cleaner, more renewable energy sources to power the grid. Think solar, wind, and hydropower, the kind of stuff that's not going to leave a massive carbon footprint in its wake. When we start tapping into those renewable sources, that's when the true environmental benefits of EVs will really start to shine. But hey, I get it. It's not as simple as just flipping a switch. It's a complex issue with a lot of moving parts, and let me tell you, those fossil fuel-powered energy sources aren't going to go down without a fight. But you know what they say, where there's a will, there's a way. But we're not going to see that happen anytime soon. You see, the production of EV batteries requires the extraction of some pretty essential minerals like lithium, cobalt, and nickel. And let me tell you, mining these materials is no walk in the park. We're talking habitat destruction, water pollution, and a whole lot of carbon emissions from the energy-intensive processes involved. It's like a new set of headaches for society to deal with. And we can't just ignore this aspect of EV production. We need to take a comprehensive look at the entire life cycle of these vehicles, from the emissions they produce during use to the environmental impact of their manufacturing and battery disposal. Only then can we truly understand the full ecological footprint of these electric wonders. Now, I know what you're thinking, but wait, don't EVs have a smaller carbon footprint than gas-guzzling cars? And you're absolutely right, but the reality is, it's not as simple as just swapping out the engine and calling it a day. We've got to consider all the moving parts, from the power grid to the mining industry, to get the full picture. And this is one of the reasons behind the fall of EVs. But what is the impact? You see, despite the warning signs and the market's Titanic-like performance, some leaders remain unwavering in their EV vision, believing that pushing harder will eventually make it a reality. But let's face it, running a car manufacturing business isn't something you can just wing. And when politicians try to take the wheel, things can go sideways fast. But don't just take my word for it, look at all the startups that have seen the worst of all this. Remember Fisker? Remember when they were the talk of the town with a whopping 70,000 pre-orders for their Ocean SUV? Those were the days, right? But now, they're watching over 40,000 of those orders vanish into thin air. That's more than half of their reservations since 2019. Can you imagine losing 70 to 80 customers every single day? It's like watching a leaky faucet, but instead of water, it's dripping potential buyers. And their stock? It's taken a nosedive, plummeting a jaw-dropping 98% in 2024. Now, Fisker's hitting the pause button on production to figure out this inventory mess. But here's the million-dollar question, or should we say the $9 million question? How are they going to keep the lights on? They're in desperate need of cash and fast. Remember those $250 reservation fees? Well, they're coming back to haunt Fisker like a bad dream. With 40,000 cancellations, they're potentially on the hook for a cool $9 million in refunds. Fisker's reputation is taking as much of a beating as their bank account, but they're not alone. We're talking about Canoo. Imagine being an early adopter, excitedly waiting for your slice of the future, only to be told, sorry, not yet, over and over again. No wonder investors are getting antsy. Their patience is wearing thinner than a politician's promises. Canoo's got a mountain to climb if they want to prove they are more than just pretty 3D renders. Can they overcome these hurdles and start delivering actual vehicles? Or will they remain a could-have-been in the cutthroat world of EVs? And last but not least, we've got Workhorse Group in our EV Roundup. These folks are all about electric delivery vans. Think of them as the green cousin of your friendly neighborhood UPS truck, but lately they've been delivering more disappointment than packages. Production delays? Check. Financial woes? Double check. It's like they're stuck in quicksand, and every attempt to get out just sinks them deeper. Their struggles have cost them a lot, especially with major players.